एक मीटर की दूरी बनाए रखें।
Hi guys, this is episode 9 and the letter I, and I'm going to talk about immunology. Now, the immune response is one of the most important responses from the human body against COVID-19, and let's just discuss it in a bit more detail. So now, first thing you need to know is there is a cell type called macrophages that are one of the first to identify the virus itself once it enters the body. They'll try and identify it, they'll induce other cells to identify and attack it, and they will also send a message to induce proteins called cytokines to release and start an inflammatory process within the body. Alright, T cells are another type of white blood cell. They will identify the antigen on the virus as well as trying to actually kill it. B cells are the third type. B cells will actually form antibodies to fight the virus. Alright, now what happens when you have a more severe response of COVID? You have that because you have an impaired immune response, right? So there's the adaptive immunity. T cells and B cells are impaired and they are not able to attack and identify the virus as quickly. Because of that, there is an excess of inflammation throughout the body. The main danger from all of this is if your immune system goes into overdrive and it'll enter into something called a cytokine storm. It's basically an overreaction of your immune system, but the real danger here is that instead of just attacking the virus, the cells will actually attack your own cells, specifically those in your bone marrow where your white blood cells are produced, leaving you almost impossible of fighting off the infection, right? So the danger here is not from the virus itself, it's from your immune system overreacting and how to deal with that. So most therapy is being targeted at this point at two things. One, actually fighting the virus and reducing your viral count. And the second thing is actually modulating your immune system so that you never reach your cytokine storm phase. Because once you reach a cytokine storm, there is a very high chance of dying, right? The other thing that they have found is that the virus could actually attack lymphocytes as well. Again, this is only one study and it's not been corroborated perfectly, but it is a theory that's being propounded. Right, from something complicated to something simple and easy to understand for everybody. The irrational fears and beliefs that people have when dealing with COVID-19. So we're going to begin right at the top. Donald J. Trump, the bald eagle himself. Well, not so bald, but the eagle, the main eagle himself. Here's what he had to say about the lockdowns. He actually wants to liberate states from lockdowns so that he can restart economic activity. Liberate. Mr. Trump, I know you'd want to start economic activity, but that term just sounds like they're holding people hostage and not trying to protect them. We're trying to protect people from dying here. But here's the funny thing, 13% of all Americans actually believe that the virus is a hoax. Seriously, how is this country probably the most powerful on earth? How? I mean, people still believe that this virus doesn't exist. Anyway, from the USA to something far more irrational and far closer to home. The motherland, Mother India herself. And we will start in the south, Chennai to be specific, where a couple of people, doctors who had died trying to fight the virus, were not allowed to be buried in a burial ground that basically, well, why? They were stopped by people because those people actually thought that dead bodies in a coffin could help spread the virus. Over 1 kilometer. 1 kilometer. Now they don't spread it from the dead bodies don't spread the virus anyway, but over a kilometer? And that's not even the best thing that you've seen in India. Listen to this. Punjab. There was a case where a Gurbani singer, one of the singers from a local Gurdwara, was not able to be cremated in his village because, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, the villagers actually thought that fire helps spread the virus. Fire. Amazing, right? From activities close to home to something a little further away, international travel. Now, we know that since the beginning of the pandemic, the international travel industry has pretty much been dead. There's been almost nothing. Most flights are just repatriating people back to their own countries. Now, there was a CNBC article on international travel, which I'll put the link in the description. But here's what it had to say. 97 countries had total border closures, which means nobody could go in or out. 65 countries actually suspended flights completely, right? Which means no flying internally or external travel to leave the country. We know airline fleets have been grounded for a long time, and most airlines have, taken financial aid from their governments. That hasn't happened in India just yet. And basically, here's the most scary and damning statistic of the whole lockdown. $314 billion. That is the estimated drop from the tourism industry. Hotels aren't functional. They're only sort of being used as quarantine centers. And airlines are basically just flying the bare minimum. So, we know that the international tourism industry is in strife, but just how much strife has now become abundantly clear. We hope that all of this will recover in the near future. Stay home and stay safe.